What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video we have the Great League Remix Cup finally back, which does ban the top 20 Pokemon that Niantic deems the top 20 Pokemon, and just for reference, that's always from a previous season, but the bans that are in this cup look to be from 2 seasons ago, not last season. That's just my take on it. That's why you guys don't see Poliwrath banned, because Poliwrath is meta this season. It wasn't used the last season or the season before. But today we have Dewgong, Tropius, and Clefable. I'm really happy to bring out the Clefable and Tropius once again, and you guys know me. I love Dewgong. It's so good. So let me know what teams and Pokemon are shining for you. Rowlet Community Day is happening in 1 hour, so I got to record this fast and then head out for that. But I hope you guys have a wonderful community day, and let's get into these battles. All right, getting into the first one, we have Dewgong on the lead versus Shadow Victory Bell. Of course, we're going to be seeing this. Now, thankfully, we do super effective damage with Ice Shard here, and we can win the race to Icy Wind, which is going to allow me to get shield advantage, which I'm totally fine with, as Clefable or Tropius can do pretty well. Clefable specifically can do well. With shield advantage, and we don't really need to worry about stuff like Registeel or Bastiodon, right? So we're going to go ahead and let the Leaf Blade go through. We're going to come in with Tropius. They swap out right away into a Double, which is okay by me. Double is going to be probably just throwing body slams here. Tropius is pretty thick. It is literally a flying dinosaur. So it's going to be able to tank a few of these charge moves. Now, what I'm trying to gauge is what could Pokemon number 3 be? And it's very tough because we see a Victory Bell and a Double. So my guess is something that is anti-flyer. So I've seen a few Probopass today. There could be some Carbinks. And I figure, you know what, maybe Clefable could potentially handle that, as the Meteor Mash can do very well in those situations, and it is in fact a Probopass, which does make sense if you pair it. If you have Shadow Victory Bell and Bastiodon, a direct replacement for that in a specialty cup like this is going to be the Probopass. Now, the thing about Probopass is you gotta hope that its moveset does not have Magnet Bomb on it. It could be Rock Slide and Thunderbolt, and Meteor Mash here does quite a bit of neutral damage. So my hope here is actually that they decided to stay in. They decided to let the Meteor Mash go through, which is totally fine. As Zap Cannon, or sorry, not Meteor Mash. The Probopass won't have Meteor Mash. That's Magnet Bomb. Did I say Meteor Mash earlier? It's probably because I was looking at the Clefable. Magnet Bomb. But we should be good now, as they decided to go for the Zap Cannon. Delayed boom there, sorry. And we definitely win the race to the Double Leaf Blade, so that is going to be a good game. Very well played. Alright, moving to the next one. Dewgong versus Probopass. So we're going to swap out here. We're going to go into the Clefable, and we do swap out, or they do bring in a Shadow Victory Bell, which we can get a shield from, which is obviously advantageous for us in a situation where we could come in and farm down with Tropius and load up on energy. That Probopass matchup isn't as bad because we do, unfortunately I don't get a second Meteor Mash right there, because we do a good amount of damage with Leaf Blade, right? Now, I'm running with Air Slash as the fast move to really help out against the grass and fighters, which are going to be pretty common in this meta, especially Poliwrath and Shadow Victory Bell. You're going to see those everywhere. And they did go for Acid Spray. So I will consider shielding this next one, because I'm so far ahead on energy that I need to maintain some more health here on Tropius, and it is going to be a Leaf Blade, which we actually could have heavily resisted there, but that's all right. We do see a Shadow Granbull come in. So this is now kind of a tough situation. I'm going to look to go for the Leaf Blade. They decided to no shield, so I'll go for the second one, but they actually swap out into Probopass right away. This kind of gives me an advantage because Leaf Blade here is going to land. I'm going to be able to swap into my Dewgong. And now it's going to be a race to the double charge move, double drill run basically for me, right? Now this Probopass is running Rock Throw as a fast move instead of Spark. And Rock Throw doesn't gain energy as quickly, so we should be able to win the race here. I will go for the back-to-back. I do think there may be 1 or 2 fast moves away from another Rock Slide. So we go ahead and they let it go. Boom! We one-shot. Now we do see the Granbull come in, so I'm going to go ahead and go for Icy Wind. This is going to allow me to potentially survive the next Charms. So we're going to try our best, and we don't get it, but 1 Air Slash here is going to be enough, and Tropius survives with 1 HP in a Dream because of the Icy Wind debuff. Good game. All right, moving to the next one. Lickitung here on the lead. Now, Lickitung leads are great generalists. There could be a lot of different things in the back. They could go the route of fighters, so like a Poliwrath back there, or they could go the route of flyers, like a Skarmory. So it's anyone's guess what could be back there. And what I'm hoping to do is try to swap into the Clefable and get ahead on energy and maybe draw out. If they do in fact have a Skarmory back there, for example, the Clefable draws it out. Now they're deciding to stay in, which gives me a hint that maybe it is the other possibility, that it's double fighters or stuff like that. And no, it is going to be a flyer. So we do draw out the Gligar, which is pretty good. We can do a lot of neutral damage in this matchup, so we're going to go ahead and go for that Moonblast here, hoping for the debuff as well. The Moonblast does land, no debuff there. And then we're going to try to get to this Meteor Mash in time. Now, if there was a Skarmory in the back, it would have clearly come into the Clefable. So my hope is that the Tropius has a much more favorable matchup against whatever they have in the back. As we do get a shield there with Meteor Mash, they're going to have to throw again, which is totally fine. This means they're out of energy. Dewgong can come in and basically do one fast move and take it down. Now we do have a Icy Wind ready to go, and let's see what decides to come in. It's going to be the Poliwrath. So we were correct on both fronts. They had a flyer and a fighter, and we kind of played this very well, able to draw out the Gligar, which is going to be the hardest counter to Tropius, which even then Tropius does very well with Leaf Blade in that matchup. It's not going to do... It takes super effective damage from the Gligar, right, but at least it can fight back. And the Lickitung here is in a very tough position. My Tropius is so tanky that I can easily let a few body slams go through. We almost get the KO there with Leaf Blade, but now all I need to do is go for back-to-back charge moves here against Poliwrath, as the Air Slash is going to be doing super effective fast move damage. And even if they throw an Icy Wind, we have a shield, and with that attack debuff that we're going to be taking right here, the Leaf Blade is going to do enough damage because of the added fast move damage that we have been doing with Air Slash. So the double Leaf Blade is going to be able to take this game for me as we get the final shield, and the second one will KO. So good game, very well played. Again, I had to play that lead a bit dicey. I had to just make a call that, you know what, I'm going to keep Dewgong with a charge move at 50% and go into Clefable and see what happens. All right, moving into the next one, we have Chargebug here on the lead, which is going to be a tough one. We swap into Clefable and see what they decide to do. They decide to come in with Skeledirge. So this is obviously a Pokemon much like the Skarmory, where the Tropius just really doesn't want to see it. And Meteor Mash here can do a decent amount of chip damage. They decided to shield, which is totally fine. We're going to go ahead and let this go as well. My hope is that they decide to go for Disarming Voice, because if they do, we should be able to survive and get off a Moonblast. This actually does about 50%. It is resisted, but it hits like a truck. So that is a lot of damage that we got right there. Dewgong coming in is going to have to let a few charge moves go through, because I'm going to try to rely on Tropius to win this game for me. If Skeledirge is the hardest counter out there for Tropius, then it's may be able to do well on the back end here, even against Chargebug, because we're both doing neutral to each other because of our typings, right? So we're going to let these Disarming Voices go through. We're going to go for the Drill Run now to KO the Skeledirge. If they decide to shield, so be it. But they let it go, and now we're going to come in with Tropius, and we'll have to see how they decide to play it. So we will see the Chargebug come in, and they're deciding to stay in. So I'm going to let the first one go through. This is going to allow me to gauge how much damage is going to be done. It is going to be X-Scissor, and that does a decent amount, so I'm going to have to start shielding. Now, they're not swapping out, and this is obviously a tell that they might be weak in the back, and there could be a lot of different things back there. First thoughts go to something like a Poliwrath, for example, maybe a Whiscash, maybe a Swampert. I don't think Swampert was banned either. But those types of Pokemon, because they will do well against the Rock and Fire, which is easily countering the Chargebug, right? So we're going to go ahead and shield this next X-Scissor. I'm hoping Aerial Ace does enough damage here, and if it doesn't, I have to actually swap into Dewgong to catch the charge move, because I wouldn't be able to survive the X-Scissor. So we do swap in. This is all on the premise that they might be weak in the back. X-Scissor doesn't KO, and it was in fact a Whiscash. So we are looking pretty good here. We have the Leaf Blade ready to go, but my opponent is able to throw the charge move first. And Scald, man, Scald gets the debuff. So my attack is now dropped, which means this Leaf Blade is not going to be enough to KO. It wouldn't KO. Actually, I think it, oh man, it'd be so close. And unfortunately, they do get to a Mud Bomb right there. So I'm not sure whether, I'll just pause right here for a second. I'm not sure whether I would actually get the full KO and then be a fast move race against Charjabug, which I think it would have to do 2 Volt switches. And yeah, that would be an interesting setup. Or the Whiscash survives and then I get a couple Air Slashes. I survive 1 Volt switch and get the Leaf Blade. It would have been a toss-up, but good game to my opponent right there. That Scald debuff was huge for them, and good battle. All right, moving into the next one. We have Dewgong versus Jellicent here on the lead. So Jellicent leads can be kind of tough because they're just probably going to go straight Shadow Ball, and they're not necessarily going to be shielding as well. So what I am concerned about is counters to Tropius, right? Because Tropius can do so well against the Jellicent. We're going to go ahead and go for Icy Wind here, just to apply that debuff to them. They decided no shield, which is fine. And then I'm going to look to swap into Clefable now to catch the charge move, saving my energy, as there might be a Gligar back there, just based on the typings that we see in play right here. So we're going to go ahead and just load up on energy. They're deciding to stay in, which allows us to get to this Moonblast. And this is just straight up enough neutral damage to KO. And if the Jellicent goes down, that makes Dewgong a lot more happy. Boom! Down it goes. And now let's see what decides to come in. It's going to be a Carbink. So actually, this was pretty huge for us, getting the Carbink out onto the field when we have a Clefable with Meteor Mash. I mean, hello. This is double super effective. Not sure what my opponent was doing. Boom! They let that go through, and I'm able to get to a second one in time. Clefable with Fairy Wind is so much fun now that it has access to that fast move, and we do get a shield. Dewgong has a Drill Run and some energy, so we're going to go ahead and go for that. I'm looking to get the final shield from my opponent, and then what I'm going to hope to do, since I get this shield, is they actually swap into a Vigoroth. I was going to say I would have let the Dewgong go down, trying to go for another Drill Run, and then just come in with Tropius and pray that there wasn't a second counter to fighters, like a Skarmory, for example. Gligar, I think, would have been okay in the 1-0 shield. But Vigoroth right here, we're going to do fine, as even Rock Slide, even though it is super effective damage, we can easily survive. What we need to do is have 3 Leaf Blades ready to go. The reason being is Leaf Blade doesn't KO a Vigoroth, and I need to have a second one here, so I will shield. We should be able to win CMP tie against the Carbink if it has the Rock Slide, which it likely does. So we're going to go ahead and throw the double Leaf Blade. This KOs the Vigoroth, and this is important to do it before that switch came up as well. So we go ahead and just go for the back-to-back, and that is going to be a good game, very well played. So I think the Jellicent coming, well, obviously they didn't have the best answer. Boom! They didn't have the best answer to Clefable, so that is going to be a good battle. All right, moving to the next one. Skarmory on the lead. So, first thoughts, obviously Skarmory and Whiscash, or Skarmory and Poliwrath, Skarmory and Swampert is a given combination. If you see a Skarmory, you're likely going to see one of those 3 in the back, if not both. So I'm just going to stay in here with the Dewgong. I have no reason to be trying to swap out to try to get some kind of advantage or whatever. It's just straight up stay in, go into the no shields, go Icy Wind all the way. Because Dewgong, with every single Icy Wind, it applies that attack debuff, which makes me tankier. We get shields as well, and as you guys are going to see, Skarmory going for a Sky Attack here, this could be a risky, right? You might shield. We can survive this. We can let this go. This is safe. Sky Attack does not KO. We can go for another Icy Wind now, and then we get them into a very tough position. Do they give up 2 shields against us to maintain switch, or do they let it go? And they let it go, so Dewgong takes it there in the 2-to-1 shield. We swap out right away as we want to save our Dewgong for a sack swap, and they bring in a Shadow Gligar. So now, you really got to start asking yourself, Skarmory and a Shadow Gligar, there has to be something like a Poliwrath or a Whiscash or a Swampert in the back. I mean, these are two covers to Grass-type Pokemon. We get a shield with Moonblast as well, and then they decide to try to commit to the farm down, which allows me to get to the Meteor Mash here for some extra chip damage. So then we're going to be coming in, obviously, with the Tropius to close this game out. I will try to see if I can catch a charge move on Dugong, but it doesn't look like it's going to be up just yet. Obviously, got a shield here. Aerial Ace is going to do quite a bit of damage coming from a Shadow Gligar. And then we see that they actually swap out, and it wasn't what I thought. It's a Komodo, but it's still in the same realm of protection to Skarmory. The core, so a Skarmory and a Komodo is the combination. Now I'm able to predict the when they're going to throw, obviously, as we can catch it right here. It is going to be the Dragon Claw, and then that is going to be a good game as they do decide to surrender. So good battle. All right, moving into the next one, we have, I think we got 2 more battles left. We got Carbink here on the lead. So this is similar to Skarmory lead. We have to see what they come in with. Similar to the Skarmory lead, where it could be anything in the back. They could go the anti-fighter kind of Mudboy route, or they could go with the fighter or Mudboy. It all depends. Now we got a Superior here into the mid game, which I'm going to go ahead and give up a shield. It is going to be Aerial Ace, unfortunately, and I'm going to try to go for the Meteor Mash now to get a shield from them. But the Superior on the lead is interesting because it still doesn't tell me what they could have in the back, because it could go either way. But they do have protection. The Carbink and Superior core is pretty good, obviously. That's a strong core right there. So it could be any kind of third Pokemon. My hope is that Tropius does well against it. So we're going to go ahead and go for the Meteor Mash. We do get 2 shields, so I will swap back out into Dugong. And the reason being is I know this will draw back out the Carbink, and it also forces the Superior to go back, which means I could then come in with Clefable here and then get to Meteor Mash against Carbink, take it out, and then hopefully Tropius can handle whatever they have in the back. Now, the Carbink here is going to be able to get to a Rock Slide. It won't be enough to KO, but we should be able to get to another Drill Run in time, which is going to be very good for us because of how much damage this actually does. This gets the Carbink very, very low, and then Clefable should be able to take it from here. The question is, do they decide to throw? If they decide to throw energy, Tropius can farm it down. That's no problem. But Clefable here should be able to get to a Meteor Mash in time. Yeah, they decide to throw, which is fine. Tropius now, even though we take super effective, is it still in a good position with how low health that Carbink is. And they decide to come in with Superior, which is even better. Yeah, we're going to be taking an Aerial Ace, but we get a free farm down right here for energy, which means we can get rid of the Carbink right away if we need to. We shouldn't necessarily do it, but they have a Mana Buzz in the back. So they went the route of a cover for Carbink instead of the route of, well, I mean, you know what I mean. It could have been a Flyer, or it could have been like a Mudboy or Poliwrath, for example. But Mana Buzz here it's going to be a good game in the no shields, even though we had a bit of energy. We just take too much damage from Aerial Ace, so they're going to go ahead and go for a second one. That's going to be a good game, very well played. Unfortunately, just out team comped right there, but good battle. All right, moving into the final battle, we have Dubwool here on the lead. Now, Dubwool, much like Lickitung, is a very good generalist on the lead, even in matchups that you are technically losing. So like a Poliwrath or a Vigoroth, you can apply a lot of pressure in those matchups with Body Slam, Wild Charge, etc. Now, I decided to swap out in Clefable, and they swap in a Chestnut right away. I think we both blind swapped at the same time. And something I want you guys to notice is they have Smackdown as a fast move, which is very, very important to know, because this gives me a tell that they are running either double Grass or double Fighter on this team composition, because a Chestnut safe swap with Smackdown is a bait out to get some Flyers out onto the field, and it can fight back against them in some situations because of that Smackdown fast move. Now, they also decided to go into double shields there, which means they really want to get switch advantage, which tells me it's something like Poliwrath in the back, which is totally fine. Double does come back in. We're going to look to go for a Meteor Mash, but they decide to throw the charge move here, which is totally fine. And what I'm going to do now is just make sure that I play this correctly. And the reason being, we're going to pause this right here. How I play this correctly is if I am correct and they have another fighter or another grass or something like that because of the Chestnut with Smackdown safe swap, it's okay for Tropius to come in right here and load up on energy because we'll beat them in the back with a shield, right? Where I lose is if I come in with Dugong against the double and then they had maybe a Gligar in the back. That might be bad, and I get rid of my hardest counter. So if I'm right, Tropius survives these body slams. It's not too bad. Even a payback is not too bad. What I'm more concerned about is getting some energy. As we can see, body slam's totally fine. And if I'm wrong with maybe there's a Gligar, maybe there's a Skarmory, maybe there's a Mandibuzz, who knows? Dugong is nestled in the back, ready to handle that. So we're going to go ahead and go for the Leaf Blade now. I feel safe with this amount of energy. We're going to take it out. Final Pokemon is actually going to be a Breloom. So another grass fighter, which makes a lot of sense. Super spicy team by my opponent, by the way. But we put ourselves into a win-win situation by coming in with the Tropius. So good game to my opponent. And that was the final battle. This team did very, very well for me today. As you guys can see, I'm in the 2300s. Still been floating around here for a little bit, hoping to get to veteran soon. Maybe veteran with this rotation of the of this week. And yeah, this team was pretty fun. Hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys have a good Rowlet community day. And like always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.